and welcome to another episode of When We Are Healed. You may have heard many teachers tell us to let go of the doing and allow ourselves to just be. But the question is, how do we get there? I have a beautiful guest today who can guide us in making that shift from doing to being in such a gentle and loving way. Please welcome my dear friend, Ulli Ulrike Gruenberg. Ulli is an artist, psychologist, and women-centered coach with expertise in trauma awareness, addiction recovery, and healing through art and nature. She teaches people how to invigorate their love for life and embody a deeper sense of being and emotional richness. It was an absolute joy to talk to Ulli. She has this really nurturing, grounding presence, and you can see and feel her love for life just exuding through her. We cried and laughed together as she talked about her epic healing journey of growing up in Germany and finding healing through art and nature, psychology, parenthood, trauma recovery, and spiritual pathways. A big part of what Ulli is teaching us is how reawakening our senses and taking the time to commune with and explore our surroundings can really help us develop a deeper sense of well-being and appreciation for the beauty and the magic of life. And if you, like me, have been feeling that longing for a deeper sense of connection to the world around you and to yourself, and if you've been yearning to feel more, not just feel better, I highly recommend that you check out Ulli's offerings and to get in touch with her. This conversation has really inspired me to remember to take more pauses throughout my day and to let myself really take in the majesty and the beauty that's all around me. So without further ado, let's dive into our conversation with Ulli Ulrike Gruenberg. Ulli, it's so wonderful to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Oh, you are such a multifaceted being to me, my eyes, who has such a unique, enlivened way of seeing the world around us, particularly Mother Nature. And I'm so excited to talk to you today about this amazing course that you're offering later this month called See Beyond From Doing Towards Being. And also about your personal journey in how you became the Ulli that I know today. And so maybe we could start by asking you about your personal journey in how you found art, how you found healing, what were some challenges you faced along the way, and how did you arrive at the place you are today?
Oh, thank you, Rieko. Oh, that was so heartfelt. Ooh, that really brought tears to my eyes. And you said in the prayer, I don't know if that's on the recording too, but you said about appreciation for life, right? And my deep appreciation for life. And as such, yeah, it's always been with me and most recently been so put together, so focused by two business mentors that I worked with. And they really guided me to put into words my philosophy, right? Like why I am here. And I didn't expect that to be of business mentors, right? Like, but it was so good. And it helped me formulate that, right? Like that, my deep appreciation for life and really my love for life. I've always had a love for life. That's been like my thread through. Um, and yeah, it's like, and I love invigorating that and that deep kinship that we have with each other and with life, right? And that goes, I mean, it drives my husband crazy when I'm like, oh, but I found these bones and now we have these leaves and I have these shells and they're all over the house and I create new still lifes all the time in little corners. And I know when then I have to retreat them again and put new ones out. But I never got this idea of like you have animate and inanimate objects. For me, it's all alive. It's all speaks to me so deeply. And I think the first time that I really like most consciously experienced that was when I was in high school and I was taking art as like what would be the German equivalent to AP classes. I was doing art and I was doing photography and created a still life of my two favorite teacups that I had bought when I was 14. I was very proud of them. They were blue with 3 white dots on them, and I put them in a box, and the sunlight was coming onto them. And it was the old-fashioned cameras, right? Like it was before digital, so you had to adjust everything. And I still remember this process of like looking, it makes me cry for some reason, looking at these 2 teacups in their wooden box with the sunlight on them. And that moment was perfect. It just was perfection. And my life wasn't perfect at the time. It was marked by trauma and secondary trauma, World War II, like a lot of turmoil. But this moment was that, almost like my recovery self in a way, reaching in, but also life, beauty, perfection. Like, yeah. So that moment has been with me in so many ways through my life that that it marked my practice. What I've done for all my life now really is what I would call aesthetic contemplation or art and nature contemplation, where I focus on a scene or a moment or on something, how the light hits something, and then what I can sense from that scene and that feeling that comes across. And usually it ends up in connectivity and then in my love and feeling the love and then feeling the love for life. So that's like the process, right? And I think that's what I still do every morning when I wake up. I take my moment and I look at something and I wait for that love.
What was the earliest or a very important challenge in your life that this way of sensing love around you, especially in nature, help you move through? Or
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
specific challenges help people relate to you even more.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
That's true. Yeah. So I grew up, in Germany in the 70s and 80s, and that was still very marked from World War II. So like both my parents were children in World War II. My grandparents were adults. And so my generation is called like the grandchildren of World War II because we're kind of directly related. And Germany in the 70s and the 80s was very much in PTSD. We didn't have the words for it at the time, but I grew up with my mom's story of how she was on the trek, moving from one part of Germany, which is now Poland, to Bavaria and not being welcomed there. Um, so we, yeah, we were like in this undealt trauma situation, really. Not just me personally, but very strongly in my family, in my immediate family, but also it was part of our generation. And our parents, they focused on rebuilding the country materially. So I grew up with materially, I was totally taken care of. But emotionally, I went through what we call developmental trauma. My parents didn't have the emotional capacity to deal with all of all of me. And yes, I was feeling that without knowing it. And maybe, now you would say maybe I had ADHD, but I could not sit still. And I was just interested in everything and doing a lot of things. And in a way, was trying to be out of the house. So I did everything from learning to play the clarinet, piano, learning Norwegian, going to art classes, like all the time. I was very active in all sorts of things. And I was not very, school just kind of happened along the way. I couldn't focus on homework. That was always like 15 minutes, then I was done. I had to like kind of make up the rest. Um, but then I knew I always liked art, and I didn't know, I wasn't really good at drawing. So I thought, oh, I go to the community center and do a life drawing class so I can catch up with that. But the life drawing class was full. And then the person doing the oil painting class said, why don't you come to my oil painting class? You'll learn how to draw there too. And I'm like, okay, no idea about it. So I go to the community center. There was like 15 middle-aged, mainly women and me. And she taught us just with two colors in the beginning. She taught us how the process of oil painting. And we started very simply with a square and a circle. And I remember it was my first moment where I could sit still. It makes me cry again. I forgot everything. I was completely present, like wrapped the fragrance of the oil paints, the turpentine, the little liquid that you use to dilute the paints. The people, everyone was quiet. You could hear the brush strokes on the canvas. We focused on one simple ball. And we learned the shadow, we learned the 3D. Then we took a break, and we would always sit in this kitchen out on a long table, and we would have a tea, and I would feel so proud that I was part of this. But that was my first moment where I realized it's okay. I can sit still. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay to be present. Was the comfort, maybe the safety, the non-verbal, and it completely took my perception was filled, my senses were filled. Yeah, it was my sacred space for my last 2 years of high school. So yeah, that was my beginning.
Oh, Uli, that's so beautiful the way you described it. Every word, I could feel and sense and see what you were describing in my entire body. And yeah, there's tears in my eyes. It's so
Thank you.
oh that sense of finding refuge and solace,
Mhm.
and it was your presence that it wasn't just you and the oil paint, but also the sounds around you and the smell and the
Mhm.
just like everything that's in the moment and the beauty, incredible beauty of this world that can be so hard to, that can sometimes be so challenging to tap back into when we're caught up in the busyness and the doing of our everyday
Mhm.
life, in a society that is still largely driven by this idea that our worth is based on productivity and
Mhm.
achievements and performance, and
Mhm.
it's and yet what brings us peace and joy is the complete, it has nothing to do with it.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
it's it's that presence that you were describing of being fully in the moment. And it's I think that's how children see the world, or babies see the world, like experience the world when they're here naturally, with no worries, no stories, no nothing to prove. and just being so present in that sense of wonder all around them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love those two words you were saying, the refuge and the wonder, right? Like the refuge. And in a way it's a refuge, and in another way you could argue it's reality, right? Like it's but for that moment I was describing, that was this total refuge. Like, yeah. 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 Yeah, it goes beyond words, right? So, yeah, yeah. And it's so nourishing.
Really is. And so after that sacred experience in the oil painting class, did you pursue art pretty much all your life after that? Or how was your journey since
Yeah,
that
so I went,
moment?
since then, of course, I was like, I'm going to be an art therapist. That's what I'm going to do. So that would be the practical application, right? So, but you couldn't do art therapy right away. It's like a post-grad course. And I'd always, it's actually interesting. I just found that out recently again. There's a long, not a long, but there have been several women in my family who have all like really enjoyed living and being in Great Britain. And my mom too, spent a year there, so she had a connection. And through that connection, I got interested in going to England as part of the UK too. And then I had this dream, I would love to go and do my undergrad there. And then there was a combined studies course where I could do art psychology and drama. So I applied for that and I got in miraculously. So I did all three of them, right? Drama was just the complementary, so I dropped that after 2 years. But I will still say it informed me, right? Like the sensitivity for light and the different levels, how everything plays together. And in our art was we did art, but we also did art theory and art history, which I really enjoyed. But after that, I got so interested in psychology that I ended up doing a whole psychology degree in Germany after that. There's a little story in that I had a place for art therapy going, I could have went back to Scotland after a gap year, but then I ended up in Germany and really enjoying that too. Living after the reunification, living in the East, that was a whole political, exciting moment for us. Really, now if you look back, that's part of my life too, that, the whole black and white Iron Curtain thing, how that all dissolved. So then I did psychology and I started working as a psychologist, and I always had a little studio with the art therapist who I was working with at the psychiatric hospital that I was, for children and young people that I was working with, and another art teacher. So I did art on the side. But I was into the psychology and therapy and working with children and adolescents is always creative, right? But the art, I didn't see myself as an artist anymore at that time, I guess. Or art was this, I don't know, this big thing in Europe. Oh my God, in Europe you have artists. I don't know, I had this old-fashioned idea of artists, and I'm like, I'm never good enough for that. So I do the psychology. I'm good at, I can do that. But then I came to the end of the limits of traditional psychology and psychotherapy. And I met my husband, who was already involved in a spiritual, on a spiritual quest and a spiritual journey. So my quest for truth, like what is real, has always been one of my leading questions. Like, what is reality? What actually is real? That's always been my leading question. And I always like art and psychology because you can test the question on yourself, right? Like I could never go into science because how can I prove that that's true? But I always felt with psychology, I can check on myself, and with art as well. So yeah, so he was into that. And then, we had our son, and I went into maternity leave, and that's how we came to the US. And I didn't go back to, I had a safe job with the state, federal thing, but I let that go and didn't go back. And then realized that I needed my own recovery journey, really. Like then I realized through funnily enough, through being at the spiritual academy, learning and teaching A Course in Miracles, I learned about my own trauma and how much I needed my own recovery because I had my son at the same time. So I would have huge light experiences, and then I wouldn't be able to, deal with my son as a baby and as a toddler. So I went into my own trauma recovery, which was life-changing and eye-opening, and turned me into the person that, I am today. So the whole thing was like, then my own recovery, raising a child, even though we only had the one, but still the whole mom thing, the whole family thing, like it's huge. I mean, it's a huge inheritance in all regards that got unraveled. And really connected me so deeply to my family, to my ancestry, to I don't know, it was a whole other way I got connected. And then coming more towards the end of my recovery and starting to breathe again, and my son getting older, the art came back. And it must be around like a good 10 years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago. I remember we had to move, and we moved out of the little city, they call it here. I would call it more of a village, but more into the countryside. And oh my God, I don't know, it all came back to me with amongst the oak trees and the savannah we lived. And my first cell phone I had, the art kind of got reawakened, or the art and nature connectivity, that whole thing. There was room for it again. Started to be room for it again. Started to be room for me to listen again. And and then really living here helped me so much too, because here it seems, at least in Wisconsin, I don't know how it is where you live, it's totally okay. Everyone is an artist, you're doing art or craft, and so many people, it really freed me up. Like, oh, I am an artist, and I worked in an art gallery and for years, and it helped me to move away from this overly critical opinion of who an artist is, right? And now I know I've always been an artist, but an artist as in the truest sense, the way I see the world beyond form and beyond function, and the way I experience it is how art, is art for me. So so that's slowly started to come back, and just recently I feel I did another, almost like an apprenticeship in nature and in being still and receiving, and what you were saying, like truly experiencing the freedom of being, like how like that freedom. There's a freedom in being, and the freedom and also, I had to go through all this. I haven't brought in any money, the whole thing, like what's my self-worth, like you were saying, the productivity, how do you identify yourself, all the shame associated with that. But then arriving at that deeper knowing, and the reality of it, or the reality isn't a good word anymore for it, you say the sacred or the love, that's another aspect. I feel we still need, I always feel I need more words still for that. Like the words is a big part of my practice too, finding words that point towards something. And in my art, I use words as that are open, like beyond, or you, that sound good, that look great, and that invite you to go deeper. But feel, I yearn for finding my words and finding words and ways to express it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Uli. There's so
Yeah.
much that you touched on that I want to kind of deep dive into.
Mhm.
But I got so excited when you mentioned A Course in Miracles because
Mhm.
that's been a big part of my journey too. And
Mhm.
I've had many guests who are A Course in Miracles teachers, and I don't think I knew that you've studied it.
Mhm.
So I would love to ask you a little bit more about how ACIM helped you heal as you were in your own personal recovery process.
So with ACIM, you mean the Course in Miracles, yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Course in
No,
Miracles.
no, no, that's fine. Because
Yeah.
I also did the ACA program, which is the adult children of alcoholics and other
Oh,
dysfunctional.
okay.
So we call that ACA. So I'm like, ACA, ACIM. I just double checking which of the programs, my two programs. No,
Okay.
two of my big programs.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny, Rieko, because we just this last weekend we had a reunion here in the Dalles. Some fellow travelers who are still here organized a reunion, and it was so gorgeous because it was meant to be a reunion, but it was also have new people from all over, really. It was so gorgeous to see, and it was so touching to meet myself again in a way of how I arrived there. And well, a couple of the main things how it helped me. The first thing is I grew up very Christian. My dad was a minister first, and then he was teaching applied theology at university in Hamburg. And so I was surrounded by Christianity and intellectual Christianity, and my mom too. It was very important for her, so I grew up in that. But I was literally always looking for the spiritual I didn't know. So at the academy or through the course, I learned that there really isn't a separation between me and God, or now I wouldn't call it God anymore, but me and the love or the presence, right? Like it's not a God that's out there. And I feel in Christianity, I was always thinking there's something I need to get to, or to that I have to plead to, or that some way would love me or punish me, a very human way of understanding that I feel gets fostered a lot in Christianity, how I experienced it. And I think in Christianity as a whole, sin plays such a whole big part of it, right? And I remember when I was 14 thinking, I feel so guilty. This isn't right. I'm only 14. How can I be feeling so guilty? This isn't right. And then a big part of A Course in Miracles is about innocence, and there's a different word in it, but it's basically accepting your innocence and taking that what is it called? It's like it talks a lot about how we make mistakes. There are mistakes maybe, but you're not doomed. You're not punished. You're not, what is the word for it? Like, you're not
Crucified.
crucified. You're not, there's nothing you can, like, yeah, it's, if anything, it's a mistake. And then, and then a mistake, you're like, oh, a mistake. Okay. Well, mistakes get corrected and we make mistakes. But so that was a big part for me. Like, oh, yeah, that was a huge part too. Like, and another big part also was this opening that I'm not a body, right? I'm not a body. I'm free is a big one. I'm spirit. That was always my favorite lesson. I'm a spirit. Like, oh, it makes me cry again. Because that's the multifaceted, right? That's like, I would feel so trapped in my skin and so uncomfortable and so like wanted to escape my skin. And I had, I don't know, I suffered from so much self-hate and self-loathing when I got into recovery. And then the idea that we're not confined in this. I'm a spirit, that this, and we would have experiences, like with each other, where it would become a true experience. And it's, to this day, it's a true experience for me. Walking outside or the sensing, the whole thing is helping for that experience, right? That we're not trapped in our skin. And yet I still feel it sometimes, right? It's not, but to the degree I was feeling it, it was like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. And I think a lot of us who've experienced trauma have that at times. Like it's so hard to stay in our skin. And now I can still sense it a little bit. I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, yeah, you feel uncomfortable today in your skin, but it's such a, I don't know, so freeing, right? And so healing to know that we're so much more. And we will never be able to be confined in our skins. And we're, it's not meant that way. But yeah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you 100%. And oh, thank you for sharing that, Uli. I can so relate to everything you were describing about the self-loathing and
Mhm.
feeling trapped in the body and being reminded us of our freedom and innocence and that we're spirit has like been so freeing and healing for me too.
Mhm.
And this also for me ties into the wellness trap that you mentioned in your questionnaire.
Mhm. Mhm.
Can you speak a little bit more about what wellness trap is in your words and how we can move out into true wholeness?
Mhm. So that is actually physically related to living. Like we had a place in Wisconsin Dells where we were physically living at the spiritual academy, and just getting into it was always a huge billboard advertising a nearby spa. Really, people say good things about this spa, but it was a woman, and it still is always kind of the same image. It's a woman trying to lay still with rocks on her or something, and you can tell this person is really laying on a volcano of anger, trying to be still and trying to stuff the feelings and trying to get the nourishment she's asking for. And I'm saying she because I was a woman, and I say she because I relate to her, right? And maybe there's a specificity too for us as women. Um, so 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 I would look at her and I would be like, oh yeah, there is the wellness trap to me is that we try to deny our feelings and try to optimize ourselves and feel better and try to get the nourishment that we truly need in the places that are offered to us, like like a good bath, which is great. We need good baths, or like a massage, which absolutely fantastic. But the way I feel this is a societal thing too, that we're lured into optimizing ourselves and our feeling good rather than dismantling why we don't feel good, to me is the wellness trap. And the dismantling, and I know it takes a huge amount of safety to be able to move towards true honesty with ourselves, and also with soberly looking at the situation we find ourselves in as humanity, really too, right? That we can't do that alone. That I believe that always has to be in community and in support. That's a passion of mine, extending that support. We will have to feel safe in order to look deeply. But I don't know, feel so strongly about know that you don't have to change yourself in any way or try and make yourself feel better all the time, or you're not at fault if you don't feel good. Like it's another trap, right? Like, oh, we're supposed to feel good. Like there's this whole narrative, right? You're supposed to, the ableism, you're supposed to look good. You're supposed to be, the whole thing, the ageism, the ableism, they go together. And and I guess we get into it for the right reasons, because we want to feel better, which is also a birthright. It's like a double-edged thing. It's also a birthright that we feel loved. Absolutely. It's everyone's birthright to feel loved. But the love is always there. And it's not that the love doesn't come through a massage or that it doesn't come through a wellness retreat. But I guess the trap is that we think we have to change ourselves and better ourselves, and that we're somewhere wrong, and that we should just get it, and that we will just need this one more thing, rather than dismantling. Did that come across?
Yes. Oh no, absolutely. I'm resonating with you like crazy right now. And
Good.
it's that seeking the source of healing or love outside of ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of turning within where the true source is.
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't, if we don't create space by letting go of what we're holding on to first, then no matter what we try to put in there, there's no room for it to really sink in
Mm-hmm.
or for us to really be nourished by it. So 100%. Thank you so much for touching on that.
Yeah, and it's like you said, that the space, and in a way, always feel there's a revolutionary in me too, right? I come from a family of activists, so for me, that's the quiet revolution, I like to call it, or the embodied activism, to go against that and say no, no more. I'm creating space, or I'm creating space in a way timely. I guess we will have to step out timely and and then the space, on another hand, I think it's created for us as well. We don't have to just all do it, but the allowing for the space or the stepping out is, yeah, I don't know. I think it's the quiet revolution. Yeah, it's how change can happen and does
Yes.
happen. Yes.
Thank you. And I'm so excited that you've created and are offering this course this fall that helps people to tap into that sense of presence and being that
Mhm.
is so can sometimes be so challenging to tap into because our so much of our identity can be wrapped up in the doing. And so even
Mhm.
though many of us understand, like for me personally, I can attest that for myself that even though we intellectually may understand that instead of doing, being is how we're meant to flow, the mind can't take us there, right? Like you can't like think our way into being. And so I think it's so valuable that you, from my understanding, you will be teaching in this course
Mhm.
how to, what's the word I'm looking for? Slip into is not the right word, but to like gently and fluidly, compassionately step into the being instead of trying to be. I'm trying so hard to be do the being.
I know.
So
We found out this, right? Like one of my earliest memories is to, like, as a teenager, I started to notice that I couldn't fully be present and grab. But at the time, I didn't have the word. But I was like, the life is like it's running away from me. I have to be present. So the word for now in German is jetzt. So I would say I would sit at the table or something, and I would go jetzt. Because I was trying to hold on to the moment, and I was trying to like not miss the moment. And so I would just say the word. And we still, right, we still do. Like I still do try to like think I can think my way into being. But that's part of my offering, or my, my invitation is, we need something for the mind, right? And that's for me, that's aesthetic contemplation. We need to fill our mind with perception. Like for people like me, it's easier not to try and empty the mind, but to fill it with the moment. So, and you've experienced that in the Artemis. I'll be teaching a way to look at things that is the art, that's how we look as artists. Often we will look at something, not because not beyond form and beyond function. I'll be guiding that way, and that will be the first process. Like the first moment is like we fill our mind with perception, and it's such a good feeling. It's such a good feeling because then we're focused, but it's a different, it's perception, not conception, and it's not control, it's perception. And then I don't know if I should talk about the whole process or if you have a question for like.
Yeah, can we maybe officially announce your program? It's called See Beyond,
Mhm.
a 6-week journey from doing towards being.
Yes,
It's
I love
live
my course.
online on Tuesdays, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central, and it starts
Mhm.
on October 21st.
That's right. Yes. And it's I love the see beyond because it's so much how we talked about too, right? Like I love the word see, SEE. It looks so gorgeous. And beyond is one of my favorite words, but the message is what how I think what we've been talking about and how I live. It's like we see beyond and we move from doing towards being. I mean, like it takes practice to to get used to the shift. But I will guide you to move through the different ways. Like we just talked about more the how we start in our neocortex, right? Our evolutionary oldest, like newest part. I mean, not the oldest, but we move to the oldest, the newest, what we're used to, and then focusing on perception. And from there, and I'm so looking forward to that, the more the mammalian connection that we have. So we'll do exercises how we roam around. It can be nature, but it can only be urban settings. It doesn't matter. You can roam around your house, but the roaming, the letting your curiosity guide you, there'll be some exercises to let pure curiosity guide you. And that is a way to move towards our ungoaling, which I think is so important too. We're so goal focused and really, if you watch any, we're mostly surrounded by dogs and cats, I think, and I'm a cat person, but I know dogs do it too. If you watch them, but literally it's the turtles too. I watch the turtles by the river and they're so curious too. So it's it's like, and it's where the, ADHD you can totally go with it because you see something and you focus on that and you investigate that. And then maybe on the corner of your eyes, you sense something else and then you go there and it's totally fine. And in the end, I say that too on my flyer. Life is going to be guiding you. Everyone will have a different curiosity, but it's that natural curiosity that I want to reawaken and invigorate, that you follow that, because so much of our vitality is in there. We conceptualize, the vitality is in the sheer curiosity without not as a means to an end, but just for curiosity's sake, for the vitality, for the investigation, for the senses. So, there'll be exercises in focusing on the different senses because we've literally lost touch, right? So to be allowed to touch everything in elementary school, we are still trying to teach everyone what to touch. And I wasn't taught very well because I still in shops, I have to hold my hands and not touch everything. But so I'm gonna invite you again to touch and to feel and the journey is from to seeing to sensing to feeling to knowing. So then the last step is going more into the reptilian brain, into the being still, is the lowest, like the oldest part. And I have had the privilege to live with turtles for the last 4 years. Like I live on the Wisconsin River, and in the summer it's populated by turtles. So I've lived with them and studied their beings and communed with them. And a lot of will be about communing. So they're incredibly sensitive. Like if I don't pay attention to them, they let me come close. If I'm like trying to take a photo or focus on them, they they slip off their rock into the water before they can even hear me. They sense me coming down. But then once we're in the water, they always pop up and we look at each other and we see how close we can get. And yeah, anyway, so they're my guides towards that oldest part of the brain. And then, not everyone is turtles, so there will be different activities and insights into how we feel that. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds lovely. And who have you found this approach can especially be helpful for? Like, what kind of things might they be struggling with, or what kind of longing might they have in our hearts that would
Mhm. I think
yeah.
the longing is for a deeper connection, a deeper, and it's also for feeling more. You know how like so often we run on autopilot or we function and life is there, but it's almost like it's like a postcard or we look through a glass, but it's not, it doesn't seem so real. So it's if you want to feel more, not just better, like that's the invitation.
Oh, I love that because I've been really getting into more somatic, like body
Hmm.
um, practices the last year or so, and um, it's relatively easy for me to feel my body now. But I know that many people, when they're told, feel your body, feel the sensations in your body, and
Hmm.
they don't know what that means, and they're like, no, I
Hmm.
don't feel anything,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, and
Because
I'm sorry, yeah.
no, go
Mhm.
ahead.
No, no, I'm such an advocate that I feel, yes, it's so hard to feel your body from the inside out. We have perception, we have our senses, and we commune with the world. We're meant to commune, so we're meant to take it in and let it flow through us. And I feel our senses are our guides to feeling us. And I mean, we heavily rely on our visual sense, and I love that because I'm a visual person. I think it gives me such a good feeling to look at things. But then I love touching, and you know, other people are more about hearing, and you find what sense is the most speaking to you the most. But every sense guides you into this way more subtle way of communing and connectivity, like just watching the light in the morning, you know, for example, like letting the day dawn, letting everything appear out of the dark, you know, just taking a moment for that, for example, is one of the practices.
Oh, I love this so much. I think it's pretty unique what you're offering to like use the senses, especially in like the self-growth and spirituality space.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, how much more accessible that can be to
Mm-hmm.
many of us, instead of trying to go within when we really don't really know how.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to share really quickly that I was at a retreat this past weekend here in Oregon with my dear friend Afina
Mm-hmm.
Zoe and many other amazing women. And we did a group psilocybin journey with magic mushrooms. And my personal experience with it this time, it the peak experience, the finale of it was this incredible sense of safety
Mm-hmm.
and being held in so much love. And I was so struck by how the sense of touch was so alive in me like never before.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt amazing to touch, like sink my head into a pillow or to
Mm-hmm.
touch the blanket and just feel the
Mm-hmm.
softness of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like kind of just reach my hands around like a baby, and my hand would touch my water bottle, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
captivated by the smooth texture of the like stainless steel on the outside. And I would just like kind of hug the water bottle for like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such an incredible experience of the world around me, my surroundings coming to life like
Yes.
never before.
Yes.
And I really believe that that's how we all used to experience life as a baby and toddler, of just interacting with the surroundings being such a magical, nourishing experience.
Yes.
And um, I would be offered a cup of tea, and I would just be captivated, absolutely captivated and fascinated by the reflection on the surface of the water of the tea, of like
Mm-hmm.
the clouds and the trees. And I would just be
Mm-hmm.
staring at the teacup like this for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for who knows how long before I even took a sip, and smelling yeah, when the senses come alive, the there's a natural joy that arises from within.
Yes. Yes.
of being
Yes.
alive, the magic of life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
wonderful that your work is assisting people in reawakening their senses and helping them connect to that like it's hard to describe in words, but that like that sense of wholeness and peace and harmony from within.
Yeah, and the magic of being alive, like you just said. Like I mean, I don't know, I get so enthusiastic about that, the magic of being alive. I mean, that's my love for life. I'm like, oh, I really hope I get so old because I love life. And I love exactly that magic of like you never know what the next moment brings. And whatever, like you say, what the light hits or what you're sensing, like what it's, I don't know, in a way, it's this magical. It's full of surprises, always. Like in a way, you don't even have to go two steps out of your door. It's a whole universe just in that. And yeah, I feel so passionate, like helping reawaken that and seeing it's right there. It doesn't need anything. Like I can't get over that. You don't need to pay for that. I mean, yes, you have to pay me for instructing you, or for guiding you, but it's nothing. You don't need money for it.
I
It's
love
there.
that.
It's always been there. It's just, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks for that sharing. That's exactly it.
Oh, thank you. So Uli, how can people find you if they
Uh,
would like to work
yeah.
with you?
Yeah, so I have a website, right? That probably is gonna be like you can, on the
Yeah,
site. So
I'll put it on the show notes.
you put it on the show. It's a Greenberg Institute, and there's a contact form there. But then I also have a Facebook account and an Instagram account, or yeah, you can just direct message me if you'd like, or fill out the contact form. And I also have a profile on It's Complicated, which is a directory for coaches, counselors, and therapists. So you can book through there as well. I can send you the link towards that too, because that's easy.
Yes.
There's a calendar on there, and if you're seeking for one-on-one support or inspiration, or then there is that can easily be booked through that site to us too. Um, and if there are any German speaking listeners, I'm German born, as you know, so I'm happy to do it in German as well.
Awesome. Thank you. And there's also a link to register for your upcoming class,
Yeah.
right? That I will put on the show notes as
Yes, that
well.
would be great. Put that on the show too. Yes,
Okay.
put the link there, and then you
Awesome.
can just directly do that.
Yeah. Again, so Uli's class, See Beyond, a 6 week journey from doing towards being, starts on October 21st. So if you resonated with what Uli was sharing today, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you reach out to her and maybe sign up for this class. Ah, thank you so much, Uli. It's been such a joy to reconnect with you and to speaking with you today really inspired me to just spend more time letting go of doing and just taking in the surroundings, like what's around me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to say a prayer to close.
Mhm.
But do you have any last words that you would like to share with the listeners?
Um, hmm. There's so much, but we've touched on so much too, right? Like, yeah. No, I think it's complete for now. There's always more, but this was this was a really good unit, and um, yeah, I hope it inspired everyone. And if you have any questions, I love curiosity, and I love living the question too. So never, please, like contact me. Don't hesitate if you have questions, or if you have a living question. I love doing that. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Lee. So join me in closing your eyes if it's safe to do so. I'm taking a breath of joy and gratitude. So much gratitude for Uli and everything she shared with us today. Just the power of letting go of the busyness of thinking that our worth is dependent on the doing and the performing and the achieving and the acquiring, but instead to just soften and let go of the burden that we're carrying, anything that we might have taken on either from others or from society or from our own traumas, known and unknown. And knowing that there's so much love and support all around us in community, in nature, in life. And that all we need to do is just take a pause and be still and just allow ourselves to take it in. Thank you for the reminder that life is magical, life is miraculous, and we don't have to earn anything in order to access, to tune into that sense of wonder. It is our natural ability, natural birthright. Even if we think we'd forgotten, or even if we think we don't know how, the way is gentle, and it's actually can be effortless and easy. And Ulli's here to show us the way. And so I celebrate the miracle of life with Ulli and all those who are listening, and share it with everyone, all beings everywhere, because we're one. So with gratitude, I let it be, and so it is. If you enjoyed this episode, I invite you to come check out our Substack at whenwearehealed.com, where you can subscribe to keep in touch and get show notes emailed to you. Sending you lots of love, and I'll see you in the next episode.